Close your eyes. Imagine waking up tomorrow in a world where everything you know about cleanliness just doesn't exist anymore. No running water, no soap in your bathroom, no bathroom at all, actually, no toothpaste, no shampoo, no laundry detergent, no hand sanitizer, no concept that invisible organisms are crawling all over everything you touch. Now imagine that's not a nightmare. That's just Tuesday. For most of human history, this wasn't some post-apocalyptic scenario. This was normal life. And what you're about to hear isn't exaggerated. It's not folklore or myth. These are documented historical facts about how people actually lived. And by the end of this, you're going to understand something terrifying. We are the abnormal ones. Let's start with something simple, something that seems so basic, you've probably never thought about it. You wash your hands multiple times a day. Before eating, after using the bathroom, it's automatic, instinctive even. But here's what you need to understand. For thousands of years, that instinct didn't exist. Not because people were stupid, not because they were lazy, but because they genuinely, truly, scientifically believed that washing yourself too much could kill you. In medieval Europe, doctors warned that bathing opened your pores, allowing disease to seep into your body. The medical establishment, the smartest people of their time, told you that water was dangerous, that it weakened you, made you vulnerable to plague and pestilence. So what did people do instead? They believed disease came from bad smells, from miasma, from foul air, which meant the solution wasn't to remove the filth, it was to cover it up. You didn't bathe, you masked the odor. Imagine being a wealthy merchant in the 16th century London. You haven't had a proper bath in 6 months, maybe a year. Your skin itches constantly. There's a layer of grime under your fingernails that's been there so long, you can't remember what clean nails look like. But you're not dirty, oh no. You're wearing a fresh linen shirt, because that was the hygiene trick. You changed your undergarments. The linen absorbed your sweat, your oils, your filth, and when it got too disgusting, you put on a new shirt. You never washed your body, just your clothes. Well, sometimes your clothes. The wealthy could afford to change linens daily. The poor? Once a week if they were lucky, once a month if they weren't. And when the smell got too bad, you doused yourself in perfume, rose water, lavender, anything to cover the stench of your own unwashed flesh. But here's where it gets worse. Hot water was expensive, prohibitively expensive for most people. You needed wood or coal to heat it. You needed a vessel large enough to hold it. You needed the time and energy to prepare it. So most families, if they bathed at all, used the same wooden tub, the same water. The father bathed first, then the mother, then the children, oldest to youngest. By the time the baby went in, the water was gray, murky, filled with the filth of 5 or 6 people. There's a reason the phrase, "don't throw the baby out with the bathwater," exists. Because in that disgusting, opaque sludge, you genuinely might not see the infant. And soap? Forget it. Soap was a luxury item. It was heavily taxed in England until 1853. Most people couldn't afford it. Those who could used it sparingly, if at all. Because remember, water was dangerous, and soap required water. So you ate with your hands, your filthy, unwashed, never properly cleaned hands. You tore meat apart with your fingers. You dipped bread into communal bowls. You licked your digits clean and went about your day. Forks were uncommon until the 17th century. Even then, they were seen as pretentious, effeminate. Real people ate with their hands like God intended. And those hands, they touched everything. Door handles encrusted with years of grime, coins that had passed through hundreds of sweaty palms, animals, raw meat, your own body after using the, well, we'll get to that. Poor families had it even worse. If you lived in the slums, and most people did, you didn't have a wooden tub. You didn't have access to heated water. You bathed in the river, the same river where tanners dumped chemicals, where butchers threw animal waste, where your neighbors upstream were doing exactly what you were about to do. The water was brown, thick. It smelled like rot and death and sulfur. And you washed your face in it, you drank it. Voice drops lower. This was just life. Before deodorant, before plumbing, before germ theory, before anyone understood that the invisible world was trying to kill them. But we're just getting started. Because what I'm about to tell you next, it's going to make you grateful for every toilet you've ever used. Let's talk about the bathroom. Except, there was no bathroom. You wake up in the middle of the night. It's dark, it's cold. You need to relieve yourself. So you reach under your bed, you pull out a ceramic pot, your chamber pot, and you use it. The smell fills your bedroom immediately, because this isn't the first time you've used it today. It's been sitting there for hours, maybe days if you're lazy about emptying it. You finish, you slide it back under the bed, and you go back to sleep, breathing in the fumes of your own waste, all night long, every night. Now imagine it's morning, time to empty the chamber pot. If you're in the countryside, you dump it in the yard, into a cesspit, into a hole in the ground that's been accumulating waste for months, years even. But if you're in a city, you open your window, you look down at the street below. You don't really check if anyone's walking by, and you dump it right there into the street. Urine, feces, sometimes afterbirth, sometimes the bloody rags from monthly cycles, all of it, into the street where people walk. In medieval towns across Europe, this was standard practice. Buildings were 3, 4, 5 stories tall, narrow streets, poor lighting, and at any moment, a window could open above you, and in Edinburgh, Scotland, they at least had a system, a warning system. Before dumping your chamber pot, you were supposed to shout, "Gardez l'eau." It's a corruption of the French "Gardez l'eau." Watch out for the water. Except it wasn't water. It was everything that came out of the human body. And if you heard that shout, you had maybe 2 seconds to press yourself against the wall or run. And if you didn't hear it, if you were deaf or distracted, or the person above you just didn't care, well, then you went home covered in someone else's waste, and you probably didn't have a change of clothes or a way to properly wash, so you just lived with it. The wealthy had it slightly better. Slightly. If you lived in a castle, you had a garderobe, a small room with a stone seat, a hole in the floor, and beneath that hole, nothing, just open air. The waste dropped down the exterior wall of the castle. It accumulated at the base for years, decades, until the smell became so unbearable that someone had to be paid, usually a desperate, destitute soul, to shovel it away. These people were called gong farmers. They worked at night, shoveling human excrement by torchlight. The smell was so overpowering that they could only work for short periods before becoming violently ill. Many died from the fumes, from infections, from falling into the cesspits they were trying to empty. But at least castles had something. Most people, they used outhouses, shared outhouses, used by entire families, sometimes entire neighborhoods. Wooden structures built over pits that were almost never emptied. The seats were rough, splintered wood. The smell was indescribable. Flies swarmed in clouds so thick you breathed them in. And in winter, when it was freezing, when snow piled up and wind howled through the cracks, you still had to go, in the dark, in the cold, sharing that disgusting space with rats and insects and whatever else had crawled in for warmth. Now imagine you're wealthy. You live in a Tudor mansion. You have indoor facilities, a wooden box with a hole, a bucket beneath, placed in a small room or closet. This is your toilet. And here's the thing. These buckets were rarely emptied. Sometimes they went weeks, months. The waste piled up. It fermented, it bubbled. The smell seeped through the walls into your bedrooms, your dining halls, your clothing. But you couldn't smell it anymore. Because you'd lived with it so long, your nose had adapted. It was just the way your house smelled. And then there were the cesspits, underground chambers where waste collected. Usually beneath the house or in the yard, they were supposed to be emptied regularly. They never were. They filled up. The liquid waste soaked into the ground, contaminating wells and groundwater. The solid waste piled higher and higher until one day the stone floor above it couldn't handle the weight anymore, and it collapsed. There are documented cases, multiple cases, of people falling through their floors into cesspits, into years of accumulated human waste. And imagine that. You're walking through your home, your kitchen, your hallway, and suddenly the floor gives way beneath you. You plunge into darkness, into liquid filth. It fills your mouth, your nose, your eyes. You can't see, can't breathe, can't tell which way is up. Some people drowned, suffocated in human waste, in their own homes. Sometimes the house literally swallowed you. And all of this, was just the beginning. Because we haven't even talked about what happened when it rained, when streets turned into rivers of sewage, when entire cities became unlivable. We haven't talked about what people did to their own bodies, the things they believed would keep them safe, the remedies that were worse than the diseases. But we will. We're just getting started.